So, here I am in Wellington, in Somerset in England.
Hi, ek's hier in Wellington in die Wes-Kaap in Suid-Afrika.
A dialogue with Dorpies.
How's it? And welcome to this, the first ever episode of A Tale of Two Dorpies, where I compare two places with the same name from across the world, because no one asked me to, and I'm really fascinated by it. Today's episode, Wellington. Wellington, UK, and Wellington, South Africa. And why these two places, you might ask? Simply for the reason because I have visited both these places and I had the footage. So while I'm editing this, I realize that there will probably be some New Zealanders that will comment and say, oh, yes, but we've also got a Wellington, and I'm sure there's at least 5 Wellingtons in the USA. Unfortunately, I haven't visited those places yet, so if you want to collaborate and maybe do a little insert on your Wellington if you live close by and you can visit it, let me know. I'll be happy to collaborate. So in terms of who was actually here first, Wellington in England was obviously here first. Historically it was known as Wellington during the Anglo-Saxon period and later called Wellington once the Domesday Book dropped. The first Duke of Wellington was Arthur Wellesley, a title which he got in 1809. He is famous for helping to defeat Napoleon at Waterloo. No, not that song. He also made a certain type of boot popular, as you may know. Due to him being a style icon, these boots are now called Wellingtons, or Wellies. Wellington in South Africa, on the other hand, was initially called Limietvallei by the Dutch settlers, which means border or frontier valley. Later it was called Val du Charron, or Valley of the Wagon Makers, by the French Huguenot settlers. And later, in 1840, under the British rule, when a formal town was established, the name was chosen to be Wellington. This was suggested by Sir George Napier, because he thought the Duke of Wellington was a cool guy, and a fashion icon. To be honest, unfortunately we don't really know what the original San or Khoi name for the place was before European settlers arrived. Anyway, like Wellington in England, Wellington in South Africa is also pretty famous for boots. And I have a pair of them. Thank you, Redemption Leather. In terms of population size, Wellington in the UK comes in at just around about 17,000 people, whereas Wellington in South Africa has a whopping 55,000. So it's a significantly bigger place. So famous people from Wellington in the UK, obviously you've met the Duke, fashion icon, but he's actually Irish born. He's from Dublin originally. And then the other person I could find was Thomas Fox, the guy with the white mustache there on the right. He was part of Fox Fowler and Company, a large private bank that would eventually become part of Lloyd's Bank as we know it today. And apart from that, I couldn't really find much else in terms of famous people. I even asked a few AI assistants. No success there, unfortunately. Famous people from Wellington in South Africa include Dr. Abdullah Abdurrahman, a medical doctor and politician, Valiant Swart, a well-known musician and actor, Breiten Breitenbach, a writer and a poet, and Adam Small, a writer and an activist. But Michal, when I go to Wellington, what should I go and visit? Well, Wellington, UK has the lovely Wellington Park. There's obviously a monument to the Duke, the Wellington Monument. There's an old school cinema called the Wellesley. There's the Wellington Museum that tells about the town's history. Most South Africans know about Old Brown Sherry, which is distilled here at the Sedgwick Distillery in Wellington. There's the infamous Bainskloof Pass, which is just a lovely place to visit. The Breitenbach Center is a multidisciplinary cultural center. There's also a lot to see in terms of church history in Wellington. So in terms of weather in Wellington, UK, it rains a lot here, no surprises there, and during the summer it normally doesn't get much warmer than 21 degrees on average. Wellington in South Africa is affectionately named Hellington by some people because it can get really warm here during the summer months, up to 40 degrees sometimes, but it's mostly around the low 30 degrees, and it mostly rains in the winter here.
Okay, so we've gotten to the point now where I visited both Wellington in South Africa and in the UK, and I've compared the two, And now I probably have to give a verdict about which one I like most. And I like Wellington, South Africa more. It's just been a great place to visit, and I would highly recommend it for anyone. There's a lot to do, but maybe, I mean, I'm open to visiting other Wellingtons. Maybe Wellington, New Zealand surprises me when I go to visit it one day. But thanks for watching and coming along. Cheers for ears.